Rewind. Now,
welcome to the 10th episode of Rewind, and we're going to play a good game today because I've been let down of late. I played a couple of disappointing games, so I'm going to play a game that absolutely cannot fail to meet my expectations, and that is Lotus Turbo Challenge 2 on the Amiga. It's an arcade racing game. I'm going to put this on automatic gear because I seem to remember you would press the joystick forward and back to change gears, and I'm playing this on a Xbox 360 pad today, so I'm not sure how it's going to go with the analog stick. Got my name in there. I can remember a couple of passwords, but I'm just going to play the game normally first, and then we'll try put one or two of the passwords I can remember in and see what they do. Must admit the music from this game was really memorable. Just a bit of a shame that the music doesn't play while you're driving around.
Marks. Set. Go.
Okay, here we go. So immediately it looks a lot like, all the racing games of the era, but younger people might be more familiar with the more famous ones from the time, like Outrun. I'm not a person that plays a lot of racing games now, but back when I was a kid, the majority of the games that we had for the Amiga were my dad's, so my tastes were dictated by his in the early days, and oops, nearly went off road then. So I guess pressing forward and backwards still affects the gear, so yeah. So I'm not really sure what difference the automatic does. I guess it can go up on its own and you can press down, which I accidentally just did then. Anyway, so yeah, it was down to my dad really. I remember the day my mum and dad came home. I'd been with my auntie and uncle at our house, so they were babysitting us, and my mum and dad had been out for the day, and I just remember my dad coming through the front door and holding this green box above his head and sort of showing off to my uncle that he had this game, and it was in one of the big cardboard oversized boxes that were really common back then for PC and Amiga games. Take up way too much space, and you'd always hear the disc rattling around inside the box. There was nothing in there to sort of hold it into place. So yeah, he brought that home, and for a long time it just felt like one of the games that was my dad's and was just too hard to play. And I would try and play it now and again, but never really did very well. And that's why I remember a couple of the passwords for it, because I used to put them in to make the game easier for myself and play the different tracks, because I could never finish a full race. Much like this, I would crash and burn out in that exact style. So I've emulated exactly how I used to play as a kid. Let's try one of the passwords I can remember. Now the first one I'm going to put in is a Bagley. I'm not sure if I'm going to be spelling it right, but I'm going to stick that one in. And the other one I can remember is Turpentine, and I'm not sure what that did. Maybe it was a level select, that one. I know some of them did different stuff. So let's put in Bagley. I'm gonna go Bagley. That should be it. And then I'm gonna go for it. We'll try automatic again. So this is level select password for the Marsh Course. Okay. So I guess Turpentine might be for a different level, maybe. Yeah, I can remember this tune. One of the tunes I do remember from this game. I remember there being an ice level as well, which I usually always hate in games. You know, definitely a 90s gaming trope, ice level. There's even that game that I used to have called Fire and Ice, which was just one big ice level. That was a very surreal game. But that'll have to be a story for another day, I think. But yeah, back to this game. I mean, I've got to say the frame rate of it's really nice. You know, you get a very, very good impression and a good feel of speed. You know, a lot of the early racing games like this, the home racing games at least, could have a very bad frame rate, and you could be left feeling like you weren't really racing anything at all. Oh man, time. Oh, checkpoint. Whoa. Forgot about the oil slicks. Yeah, that was another nice thing about this game, is the little hazards that are on the road, the fallen trees, the logs. Whoa. I guess you can go over those like a ramp. We'll have to log that in. Whee! Oh, that was ace for a second there. Felt like I was in real control of what I was doing, even though I wasn't. Oh, I don't think we're going to make the next checkpoint. But yeah, the sense of speed you get from this game is fantastic. There we go. Well, that's what you're going to see at the Marsh level, I think. See if I can knock Wendy off her. Yeah, there we go. Sorry about that, Wendy. Okay, let's try the turpentine code. This one really sticks out in my memory because I used to have to ask my dad to enter it in for me every time because, you know, I was only 6. I couldn't spell the word turpentine. Can't actually remember what this code does though. So I guess there's only one way to find out. I'm going to put a manual transmission on as well, actually, because the automatic was just as problematic. Horace Course again. Okay, so it's not a level select code. And I spelt it right, so unless my memory's failing me, which it doesn't usually, this might do something else.
Marks. Set. Go.
Oh, the timer's not going down. I wonder if that's it. Car feels the same speed. Yeah, I think it's just stopped the timer, so I guess we're going to see the end of some of the tracks. This must have been what I'd have to do to finish the levels way back then. Oh, well, great. we can have a look at a couple more levels after this then as well. But I mean, what a great game. This still looks so nice. Really crisp, nice graphics, great frame rate, and great sound effects as well. So, you know, I can see why my dad was so excited to get this game when he did, you know. There were a few other racing games around the time that we used to have as well, like Jaguar XJ220, that was one of them. I remember we used to have arcade ports of Chase HQ and Outrun as well, I think. So, you know, it did spur a little bit of you know, an interest in racing games with me. But I guess as I got a little bit older and started to, you know, have my own interest in games, that I sort of went along more with platform games at first. You know, because I was a kid and those games are sold to children, and obviously once we got a Nintendo and a Sega system, I was playing a lot of the Sonic and Mario games as well. It wasn't until my mid-20s again that I started buying racing games again. But that was a great period as well for racing games on the PlayStation 3. Also had a couple of decent racing games on the Mega Drive. Super Hang-On was one of my favourite games on the Mega Drive. And yet, I still think that this has got maybe a little bit of an edge over Super Hang-On. Even though that was a little bit of a later game, there's just something about Lotus Turbo Challenge that's a little bit more timeless for me. I'm not quite sure why. I remember always thinking that the Lotus cars must have been like the best cars in the world because, you know, they were in this game, and then the same with the Jaguar XJ220 game. Jeez, this is a long level. But the controls are really good. Yeah, the sounds might seem a little boring, and the backgrounds might seem a little boring by today's standards of, you know, Drive Club and Gran Turismo and stuff like that. But, you know, at the time playing this, it just felt like an arcade quality experience in the home. And there weren't many games you got that feeling from. A lot of games that were, you know, oh, damn it, messing up on the gears there. Oh, the finish line. Yes, congratulations. 10 seconds on the clock. Yeah, a lot of the night course. It reminds me of Streets of Rage, this. I wonder if that's intentional. Even the music's similar. Yeah, a lot of the arcade ports that I had on the Amiga were pretty bad, really. You know, they didn't always do the job. But yeah, this is a game that was built for the Amiga and gave that arcade quality feel without actually being an arcade game beforehand. No, this is a really nice level. I am starting to remember this level now. Yeah, it's coming back to me. Actually, it looks a little bit like the Philadelphia skyline in the background over there, which is where I live. And it even has a similar road, Route 76, when you're driving into the city. Not Route 76, or is it Route 76? I don't know what the route road names are. Still a lot to get used to about this country. And I don't really know what else there is to say about this. I mean, I'm really enjoying it. It's a great game. It's such a massive relief. I was starting to get worried that the games I was covering were all just going to be bad ones for a while, because I'm doing these videos thinking, oh, I remember that game, I'll have to play it, and then I stick it on here, get it working, and then I go to recording, and it's kind of like I don't know what to expect sometimes. It's funny when you hear people, maybe in my generation, or people that are, in the 30s, talking about how gaming was better back in their day, and I do think there's probably a golden era for gaming somewhere, and I guess I'd just like to look at it a bit more objectively and think, actually, was gaming better back then, or is it better now? I think the quality of games now is much better. But sorry, that was my phone going off in the background there. Wasn't the car collecting anything in the game. I mean, I remember being at my auntie and uncle's house, and they would have a pile of Amiga games that they hadn't played, and this was back when X-Copy Pro and all that kind of stuff was popular, and we would just go through piles and piles of discs, and I would be mesmerised, oh wow, all these games, and we'd be going through piles and piles of games, and sometimes there'd be only one or two games in a pile of maybe like 50 that you would ever dream of going back to, because there was a lot of really poor games around. And not to say that there aren't now, but I think people that are developing crap games now are sticking them on mobile phones, which...
Congratulations!
Yes. How do I do it, guys? How am I doing these races after not playing this for so long? Call me Nigel Mansell. Oh my god. I should have done this as a Halloween game, shouldn't I? So I'm just going to have to mute my phone. That is terrifying. Peasoup. I remember Peasoup now.
Marks. Set. Go.
Well, I'll do a little bit of this level. Oh, hell with it, I'll do it. Why not? But yeah, a lot of the NAF games now are sort of relegated to mobile platforms, and the big releases that you see on the shelves, because they cost so much to make these games now that they can't afford to be rubbish. And sometimes, if they do come out and they are rubbish, there's so much pressure put on them to release patches and sort the game out. So I think the quality of gaming now is better, but maybe the originality aspect and the broad array of games isn't quite what it used to be. People are, sticking to familiar formats now that are guaranteed to succeed. Whereas, you know, if it's two guys in a basement knocking out games, they can make whatever they want, you know. Which is kind of why it's nice to see this indie game scene doing so well. You know, I'm not someone that really champions the course myself, because, you know, I sort of know what I like at this point in my life, and, you know, you don't have all the time in the world to play everything that's out. But the indie games that I have played, you know, if you hadn't told me they were indie games, you know, I wouldn't have known. You know, maybe this game that I think was developed by like two guys, the Lotus Turbo Challenge, would be considered an indie game. You know, who knows? I think everyone in this day and age is so quick to put labels on things. You know, people like labels, and they like pigeonholing stuff, and so they like having AAA games, and it doesn't feel like there's a broad spectrum. It's either like a AAA game or it's an indie game, you know what I mean? At least on the consoles. I can't comment too much about PC, because it's you know, I do PC gaming, but not an awful lot. So yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I've decided to go on this retrospective journey and just sort of refresh my mind about these older games. And it's really, really nice to go back to games like Apidia, to Lotus Turbo Challenge 2, and even games like Captain Planet that aren't bad, you know, that aren't bad games. And just think like, yeah, you know, I did actually have some pretty good games when I was a kid, and these games are still good now. It's only when you get on a run of games like Addams Family and Titanic Blinky that you sort of start to lose the faith a little bit in the older games. But anyway, seeing as we're on episode 10 now, I'd just be interested to know from some of the people watching, if anyone gets to this point in the video, thank you, congratulations, you won no prize. But what have you enjoyed about these videos? You know, what would you enjoy seeing more of? What do you want to see or hear less of? You know, I'd be really interested to hear, because you know, this was a bit of a selfish endeavour of mine, because it was just me chronicling.
Congratulations!
Oh yeah, guys, look at me go, Schumacher. Yeah, it was just me chronicling my memories of gaming. Oh no, the ice level, the skids. Yeah, I think this might be where we round the video up, but yeah, just be interested to get a bit of feedback from you all. And now that people are actually watching these videos, what's working, what isn't, what do you enjoy, what don't you enjoy, and because you know, I am starting to really get into making them. So thanks to you guys that are watching, commenting. I do like getting a dialogue going with people about games, which is something I'm really passionate about. Oh, this, yeah, it's definitely ice controls, guys. I might just pull over and escape. So yeah, I just want to say thank you. 10 episodes in, still going. To be honest with you, I thought I might have got bored after episode 5, but no, we're still going, still pumping them out, and as long as there's people that are going to be enjoying it, I'll be more than happy to take your suggestions on board. So thanks guys, until next time, thanks for watching.